Nerd with words. What is best in life?
To crush your enemies, to share an ice cream cone with Jason Statham, and to never ever see Conan 2011 again. Can you believe it's been 30 years since the original Conan the Barbarian starring Arnold Schwarzenegger? That is crazy. I just rewatched it last week, and that is a sturdy film. It's got a great lead, a great villain, a great score, and it feels epic without resorting to large-scale battles. It's just a really fun movie to watch. So now, 30 years later, we have a new version of Conan, without Arnold, has nothing to do with him, and this one reinvents his origin. You see, this Conan is battle-born, and that quite literally means exactly what it sounds like. We start the movie within his mother's womb, staring at fetus Conan, just chilling, until, oh my god, a sword pierces through her belly, tickling Conan a little bit, and then we find out that this woman is on a battlefield fighting people while she's pregnant. I bet she smokes and drinks, too. So anyway, there she is dying. Her loving husband, Ron Perlman, runs over and says, oh my god, we gotta get this baby out. So he cuts Conan out so she can see it one last time, and of course, give it a name, and then she dies. It is utterly ridiculous, but it's actually kind of fascinating. And then we spend the next 20 minutes with Anakin Episode 1 aged Conan running around being a badass and then watching his dad's face literally get melted. And that sets up the rest of the movie where he's trying to avenge his father's death from the evil warrior Kalar Zim. But Zim is really only interested in finding the pieces of this crazy mask that has very vague powers that they never really specify. Everything feels really slapdash and random. It's just like, oh, now Conan is randomly freeing slaves, and now Conan has randomly run into one of Zim's henchmen, and now he's randomly saving a girl who happens to be a key plot point. It's so random, in fact, that this film starts with a voiceover from none other than Morgan Freeman. What? Morgan Freeman? The action is nothing new. You've seen large-scale battles like this 15 times before and done 10 times better, and the sword combat is frenetic and way too up close to even know what's happening. You don't know where people are oriented or what they're doing, and then in 3D it's even worse because it takes your eye 1 or 2 seconds to perceive an image, but the cutting is so fast here, every half second, you just have no idea what's happening. Speaking of 3D, it's really useless and wonky. There are times where the background is moving faster than the camera is, and I swear to God, there was one time where Ron Perlman's goatee was on a different plane than the rest of his face. It was just one shot, but it was so weird. His goatee is like way up here. Just terrible. Also, the action is weirdly violent. I say weirdly because any amount of force on any part of the body creates a geyser of Karo syrup just spewing forth, blood going everywhere. It's really phony. And on top of that, it's rarely memorable. There's only a couple moments that I can pull off the top of my head that I remember. There's the fetus attack scene, there's a scene where Conan gives a guy a low-rent nose job, and then there is one really cool battle involving some sand warriors that actually looks like it gives Conan some trouble. It's like the only time in the movie he seems a little worried. Other than that, pretty much forgettable. The cast in Conan is solid on paper, but once they put it on screen, they've just got nothing to work with. Ron Perlman stands around being noble and speechifying about swords, and Stephen Lang does his best to be evil, but he's generically evil. They have one chance to add a creepy dimension to him, where it's an incestual relationship with his daughter, but they skirt that and keep it as bland as possible. Rose McGowan is given a really unfortunate hairline to go along with a really bland sorceress who doesn't do nearly enough sorcering. Then there's Jason Momoa as Conan, and he has no choice but to stand in the shadow of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Momoa's Conan is more talkative and more sensitive. He would never punch a camel, that's for sure. And he's way too serious. In the original Conan, Arnold's version had a barbaric glee to him that you could just tell he was having a good time. But Momoa here is stuck in furrowed brow mode, and he's just, I'm determined. And it's boring. Nothing in Conan works properly. Aside from the battle birth and the sand warriors, the action is clunky, the characters are forgettable, and the 3D is broken. The best I can say is that at least there's gratuitous nudity. This imitation of Conan is paler than Rose McGowan's skin. Do yourself a favor, pick up the original on Blu-ray, check that out, or watch Game of Thrones or Spartacus or any of those other TV shows that are currently out Conaning Conan. Alright, time for 3 questions. Number 1, did you see Conan and did you hate it? Number 2, if you could share an ice cream cone with Jason Statham, what flavor would it be? Mine would be huckleberry. And number 3, does anyone else hate these bystander videos of the Avengers and Dark Knight that keep coming out? I feel like they're killing the mystery of these movies.